This is going to be a full-on guide on reconnaissance for web applications. So in this tutorial, in this full guide, it's going to be pretty long. It's going to be, I think, 30 minutes or 1 hour long. I'm going to teach you how to do reconnaissance from the beginning to the advanced level. And we're going to be talking about different topics. And as you can see that we have the flowchart ready, and let's begin the video. So first of all, what is reconnaissance? If you just Google reconnaissance, you can see that it is trying to find and research about your target. So let's imagine this. You find a person and you want to exploit that person. What would you do? Would you straight go ahead to the person and try to exploit him? No, you wouldn't do that. What you would do is first try to do reconnaissance on him. What do I mean by that? By that I mean you would first see when does he wakes up, when does he sleeps, where does he go, what shirt does he wears, and everything. What food does he likes to eat, right? How many wives he has, or if he has no wives, or how many girlfriends does he has, right? So what is the benefit of doing reconnaissance? Let's suppose that you find out that the person you're targeting is into girls and a specific type of girls. Then what you can do is that you can try to use that for your own advantage to exploit that person. And this is just an analogy that spies use, but we're going to be using that analogy and that common sense on doing reconnaissance for web applications. So let's start from this one. As you can see, first what we have to do is, in Recon, the number one step is a simple thing, which is to just Google that website up, right? So you just, for example, we have Flipkart, right? We just visit the website. So from the website, we can see that the moment we enter the website into our URL bar, we can see that we are prompted with this thing, and it asks us for our login information. So we can note this down, all right? And then we see the website. What do we see? We see that it has things listed up on the website, and it's an e-commerce platform, right? Don't worry, I know that you're just trying to think like this is just dummy shit, right? But don't worry, we'll get into the advanced things very soon. So then what you do is that, okay, you can see some interesting things. What interesting things that do you see? The number one thing that I see interesting is the login thing and the become a seller thing. So we just open this up in a new tab. We then hover over this, and then you can see it has a new customer sign up. So it has a sign up thing, and it also has a login. And then we go into the we go into the seller platform. So this is a domain of Flipkart, a subdomain in which people can sell online things with Flipkart, right? And the login page of this is going to be different than the login page of a normal customer, right? So the code being executed here is going to be different than the login code for this one, okay? And you will start to note these things down. You can either note it down on your online note kind of a thing, or you can note down just like I do on a regular paper, right? On a regular notepad. So I would write things down, okay? And then what you also want to do is, once you start to actually hack into websites legally, right? You do bug bounty things, what you will start to experience is that you will start to get a feel for websites, all right? You can feel the website and know that what type of vulnerability maybe this website has. And that feel is what we call intuition. So this is the first part of the recon, which is to visit the website and just to get the feel of the website and to know what services does the website perform, what actually does the website do for the user, right? And then once we visited the website, we have done the feel of the website and the flow of the site, which we have seen by going to the login page, the seller online page. And then what we do is we identify the technologies that the website uses, that the web application uses. How can we do that? It's very easy to do. You just install this plugin in Chrome or Firefox. It's called Webalizer. And then just by visiting this website, I can know that this uses, for example, in the web servers, it uses Nginx. And for performance, it uses priority hints. And for JavaScript frameworks, it uses React, right? a lot of times when you're trying to deal with bug bounty platform, like bug bounties, like on a website like Flipkart, which is already too popular, you wouldn't get versions of the technologies that are being used, right? That's nothing to be demotivated by, because this is completely fine. And you will also then start to note these things down. You will start to note it down that, okay, this is what the web server is being used. And then you will note down, okay, React is the JavaScript framework. And why do you have to note these things down? First, this is what reconnaissance is about. You just note down every single little detail, right? And then what you do is that this will actually help you when you will be doing port scanning later on. And we'll talk about that later in this video. So now we are done with the technology identifier using Webalizer. We are done with the feel of the website and the flow of the site. And then what we have to do is we have to detect the WAF. Now, this is a thing that you can do with different various tools. Okay, you can detect the web application firewall that the website, that the platform uses through various means. You can either use Nuclei, and I've also uploaded a video on Nuclei. You can check it out on my YouTube, or you can just, I think there are also services for WAF detection online. Online, you can also do that, I think. If you don't know what a web application firewall is, it's basically a system placed on a website to for a defensive side. So for example, if you put in SQL queries, this WAF will actually stop you. Even if there's SQL vulnerability in the site, this will actually stop you from going too much deep. All right. So this is your enemy while you're doing web hunting. So let's just put in this site here, and you can just scan only one domains. Okay, retry. All right, so this is not working. So let's just do start scan, and this is going to tell us what WAF does this website uses. But what I use actually to detect WAFs is a lot of times I can just detect WAFs by using the burp suite. So I can see in the like the URLs, the requests that I'm catching. A lot of times the Cloudflare will come in. So, or you can just use Nuclei for this. Okay, while this is running, we will get onto the next thing. I already ran the command. I'm sorry, I just went off to piss. Everybody pisses, right? So what this website was not able to detect the WAF because sometimes the WAFs are generally supposed to be not so visible. So we're just going to be using Nuclei. And if you don't want to use Nuclei, even when you will be visiting the website using Burp Suite, you will a lot of time, like 99% of the time, you will see a Cloudflare request being sent or another WAF being used, right? So that's easy to detect what WAF is being used actually. And a lot of times, the Webalizer will also tell you what WAF is being used. Just by looking at this, you can see the CDN is Cloudflare, right? So now that the now that the WAF thing is done, let's get into the interesting part, which is the JavaScript source map analysis. So there are JS.map files that actually will tell you a lot about the website. And how to find those things, you can just inspect, and you can go to storage. And where is storage? I use Firefox. I don't use this too much. I don't use Chrome too much, but I think it's somewhere here. Wait a second, I don't use Chrome too much, so that's why I have a problem here. But anyways, this is also running, so how to see JS map files in Chrome. And this is what happens a lot of times. When you're hacking, you don't know everything by memory. You have to Google it up, right? So you can see here that if you're using Google Chrome, you can easily see it by click on the sources tab in the Chrome DevTools. Okay, so sources tab in the Chrome DevTools. The same image below you can insert Bitcoin. I was going not the Bitcoin 2 in the file. Okay, so here where is the basically the files is going to be, and if you just refresh it, okay, we are going to be finding it here. And sometimes we can see that, sometimes we can't. Wait a second. So this is the not here. It's going to be yeah, it's going to be here, but it's not showing here. So a lot of times you'll find actually those js.map files, and in those files, what is going to be interesting is basically you will find the logic of the JavaScript being implemented on the website. And right now, this website doesn't has any js.map files here, but a lot of times you'll find those things. And also a lot of times you'll find developers leaving comments on those js.map files, on like those JS source map files, and then you can probably get some hints too from there. And don't worry, a lot of times these things happens. And what I would recommend you to use is Google. I think hackers are just extremely good Googlers. You know, they know how to Google the shit out of it. Okay, and anyways, getting back into it, you can see that you get into the second part of the recon, which is basically subdomain scanning. So once you know that, okay, this is the site, and then you want to get a lot of other assets of these of the same domain. Okay, and how you're going to do that is that you can use AMAS, you can use Subfinder, you can use crt.sh. Okay, now for example, how does Subfinder works? Subfinder will basically use Google dorking and a few other techniques to get those subdomains for you. All right. And then one more thing that I would add on to is that you should use AMAS and Subfinder to get those subdomain list. And it's going to be, usually it's going to be a pretty large list. And then what I would recommend you is to use HTTPX to probe every single one of those subdomains in that TXT file that you have in the output, and then give you only those subdomains that are actually live HTTP servers. So they're actually live subdomains, right? And then you can get a filtered, good quality list of subdomains. And now, what is crt.sh? Okay, now if you go to crt.sh, you can see here. Let's just put in this site, and let's search. Oops, sorry, I forgot that I have to remove this. And okay, so let's just put this in, and it's calling recurve. My receives is usually remove. Normally. Okay, this website is not working at the moment, I guess. Wait a second. Flip of okay, sorry, HTTPS flip flip. Wait a second, I can't see the screen. Flipkart.com. Okay, so now we're going to search it, and no certificates found. But let's say if you go into another website, like for example, we go to ebay.com, you can try to find these certificates. It's running it up. It's searching. Let me just put it in again. And I don't know if the website is slow or my internet is slow. But anyways, this site, what it actually does is you enter the identity, and then it will give you a history of all the certificates, like launched against those identities. By identity, I mean, a domain, right? So let me just type in another website, coingate.com, and no search found. Sometimes this tool is actually working so good, and sometimes it doesn't work. Wait a second. Yeah, this tool is bugging, bro. This tool is actually bugging. So let me just find, let's suppose we go into Google. No, Google won't work because they're probably hiding their certificates, I guess. So, but let's just search google.com. While this is running, let's get into another thing. Okay, so what this does is basically it also gives you a list of subdomains, but a lot of these lists are going to be expired because those certificates are expired as well. Okay, so that's going to be old assets. So your best bet is to use AMAS and subfinder. And then when you have those subdomain lists and then you have probed them through, so let me just add in here another thing. I can't add in here. Wait a second. So yeah, when you have those subdomains list, then you're going to probe them through HTTPX, and then you have those live subdomains list. Okay, and then what you're going to do, what you're going to do is that you're going to do port scanning, you're going to do cloud asset discovery, and you're going to do content discovery, and then you're going to do visual recon. I'm going to explain every single one of those things. Don't worry. First of all, what is port scanning? So every single website has an IP address, right? It's actually a machine, a computer running behind those websites. It's actually a machine running behind those websites somewhere in the cloud, somewhere actually on this planet Earth. Okay, so every computer has a port, every IP has a port, right? What you're going to do is that you're going to run an Nmap scan. You're going to run an Nmap scan on those subdomains, and this is going to take you a little bit of time. So if you don't want to do this, you can also do try to do is that you can basically get important subdomains by getting the screenshots of the subdomains, like for example doing visual recon using Equatone, and then you will run the Nmap scan, the port scanning, only on those interesting subdomains. Interesting subdomains can be things like, for example, cPanel, right? So once you have port scanning, and then you have like information like, for example, if you see open ports, or if you see ports that are not open, like those are open, but you can't see the version of the service that's being run on the port, but it's still an interesting port to look over. For example, 3389 port I think is for RDP. So RDP is always an interesting port to look at because usually it has default passwords. So it's definitely an interesting port to look at. And there are multiple ports to look at that are also interesting. Like for example, if you find an Nginx port that is, for example, running an old version of Nginx, right? So Nmap is very powerful. So you need to learn how to do Nmap. Of course, if I would go on to in every command, if I'm teaching you how to do the basics of AMAS, subfinder, and everything, it's going to be a 6-7 hour video, right? And if you don't want to do that, so you can just Google it up, or you can just use Gemini. I highly recommend you to use Gemini, okay? So then what we have here is cloud asset discovery. Now, how are you going to find cloud asset discovery through the subdomains? What you're going to do is that you're going to use Google Docs for those subdomains. And a lot of times what will happen is that even when you visit the subdomain, it's going to be a subdomain of a cloud platform. A lot of times you will face this. So when you discover a subdomain that is related to a cloud asset, it's always an interesting thing to look at, because a lot of times cloud's assets will have credentials of users or credentials of even entering the server. Okay, so it's an interesting thing to look at, cloud asset discovery. And then you can do content discovery. What is content discovery? Let's suppose this website, right? This domain, like this one. Let's suppose this domain has an admin panel, right? This is a content discovery. You're finding a content of this subdomain. So I hope they wouldn't have an admin panel here. Yeah, page not found. So you want to do content discovery. You can use tools like DIRB or FF, or you can use Wayback Machine sometimes if you want to. And even also, a lot of times you can use Wayback Machine to run that on the main website, and you will find interesting things. Well, like one time I was doing a CDF. It was not a live website, but in that CDF it was basically I ran the Wayback Machine, and then using the Wayback Machine I could see the user and the password on the website. So just a thing, just give like 1 minute to Wayback Machine and just go onto the Wayback Machine and just see it. What is a Wayback Machine? You can just Google it up, Wayback Machine, and you can just go here and you can just put in the website. So let's suppose, why is every website not being able to load? Okay, so so you just put in, like, for example, Flipkart, And let's suppose we put the flip card. So it goes way back in the time. Okay. So it's loading up, and let's suppose we go into 2008, right? It's getting this, and we see February 2008. We'll click on this and let's see what this website looked like at February 8, 2008. It's loading it up, and while it's loading up, let's go on to the next topic. So I guess it has loaded up, right? Wait a second, yeah. It was an online bookstore, India Buy Books Online. So this was how the website looked like in 2008. Isn't it crazy? So this actually also, I think, started just like Amazon. So it was only for books, I guess. Yeah, so you can see like the contact customer support service. You can see these things. Okay. Look at this copy, like the best Indian online bookstore I have ever seen. These are okay, these are the customer testimonials. Okay. So this is how you use the Wayback Machine, and then what you want to do is that once you find all those subdomains, obviously if you have like 100 or 50 subdomains, you should not waste your time by going through every subdomain manually and trying to see what the subdomain looks like in the user interface. You should use Aquatone. Okay, what is Aquatone? Just Google it up. Google everything up. You know, Aquatone is a tool for visual inspection across a large number of hosts, and is convenient for quickly gaining an overview of HTTP-based attack service. So it gives you the screenshot of what the subdomains will look like. It's a visual recon. Now let's get back into another interesting thing, which is whenever you're trying to visit a website, for example, whenever you're trying to start a recon, you also want to do these couple of things. You want to extensively use Google Docs. Okay, how to find Google Docs list? Google Docs list. You just Google it up again. Google it up, and you can see Google Hacking Database. Use this one, exploit.db, and you can see that these are all the Google Docs list that you can use. Okay, and let's suppose we use this one. We click on this, and let's suppose search this up, right? So this is actually giving us product list.php and an ID. All right, so this is probably good for IDOR vulnerabilities, but you can also use this for let's suppose for site Flipkart. Sorry, wait a second. In URL, no, site, you go here. Wait a second. Let's use another Google Doc. So let's use this one. Okay, there's no Google Docs for this. Yeah, so but again, this is what the Google Docs look like for. You can just find them up on exploit database, or you can even use Gemini. So for example, if you want to use Gemini, you can do Gemini. I've installed it in my Chrome, so I can just do add Gemini, and then let's just say that give me I'm a bug bounty hunter, give me Google Docs that are interesting for flipkart.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you use AIs to actually help you in your hacking. So, okay, this is an interesting one. Let's suppose we enter this. And okay, we are not a robot. We are not a robot. Okay, we can see the admins, but these are actually the things that are being listed on here. These are not the actual admin panels. So let's suppose We use this one. Again, an interesting one. Again, these are the products that are being sold and not those. Let's just see this one. Okay, this is again a product that's being listed um, on the website. So, but anyways, you can use Google Docs to actually find sensitive information or even interesting information on Google. Okay, and I'm also going to add one more thing: GitHub. Look up the company files on GitHub as well. It's really, really beneficial for you. It just takes like 10-15 minutes, you know. It's no harm, so just do that. And then we have a couple of things. And for example, whois lookup. You should do a whois lookup on the website. So let's just do a whois lookup on online. So we're going to be doing that. And let's just say we search this up. Okay, so we can see that this flipkart.com, this domain is registered, and this is a whois lookup, okay? Is registered by GoDaddy, and we can see that it is actually, wait a second, okay. The status is actually client delete prohibited, client renew prohibited, and the name servers are these. So these are the name servers, and you can also do this automatically using bash script. There are some tools on GitHub that you can use. So I'm just trying to here to teach you how to use your own stuff, you know. Just Google things up. Like you will learn even better than me if you know how to Google and if you know how to do like Gemini or ChatGPT or DeepSeek, right? So these are all the things like you can do the same thing for DNS records, for ASN lookup. And then what we can do is we have to get into Shodan. How can we not use Shodan? So I hope you already know what Shodan is. If you don't know what Shodan is, it's basically a search engine for the internet of everything. Okay, I'm going to show you what does it means by that. So it will literally find anything that's over the internet. So this is an interesting thing. So flipkart.com, you can see that it is actually, the top organization is Flipkart Internet Private Limited. And then we can see some IPs. So Flipkart Internet Private Limited, let's just go here and on this one, and this actually resolves to flipkart.com, this IP. So let's just see that it's an Nginx server moved permanently. So this IP has been moved, and then this has also been moved, and this is also Flipkart offer India GCS solutions. Okay, we can see a lot of subdomains here. Also, this is owned by GoDaddy, and if we come down, fireworkers, so a lot of these countries are in United Kingdom, which is interesting. And the top products is Nginx, and let's just go to the next. Okay, please create a Shodan account. I have a Shodan account, but you get the idea. You can use Shodan to get more subdomains, and also sometimes what you can do is you can actually go onto the every subdomain, and you can see what open ports are being run on these subdomains. And Shodan is also going to be helpful for you. If you want me to create a video for Shodan specifically, you can comment, or you can also see the video by, I think it's the guy is called Orva God or something like that. You can search his videos up as well. So yeah, so again, just to recap, what we did is we did wanted to tell you how to do reconnaissance on web applications. So first of all, you just have to visit the website. You have to get a feel of the website, the flow of the website. You have to identify the technologies in the website. You have to detect what WAF is being used, because you have to detect this. It's very important, because then you will craft your payloads according to that. And then you have to do JavaScript source map analysis. We have taught you about that. And then you get into this subdomain scanning. You can use AMAS and Subfinder, and then you can use crt.sh, which was not working because the website was not being loaded. It was stupid. Okay, and then when you get those subdomains, you have to probe them through HTTPX. You can just Google it. It's extremely easy to use HTTPX. Like, you just go in here and do HTTPX, and you give command like silent, or you can just type in it like H, and you can basically give it a list of input file, or you can just give it a target, right? So for example, we just give HTTPX u, let's say HTTPS flipkart.com, and it will tell us if it's live or not. So it is live. That's why it gave us the URL back. Let's suppose we type in here Flipkart TTTTTT and this thing, right? And it didn't give us the URL back, so that means this website is not live. It's not running, right? So it's so easy to use Flipkart. So easy to use HTTPX. You can just Google things up, and you will learn everything about the basics of everything that I taught you. So then we learn about how to do port scanning and cloud asset discovery and content discovery and visual recon using Equatone. And then I will just give you a glimpse of Shodan and Whois and Google Docs and GitHub. So now this is a bonus part of the video, which is this: the tools that I recommend you to use. Number one, you have to use Nuclei. You have to use Nuclei. And you can see my video on my channel on how to use the advanced mode of Nuclei. And then you have to use Gori. I wouldn't recommend SQL Map that much. I would actually recommend Gori. For like initial scanning, I would recommend Gori in comparison to SQL Map. And then you can use Nikto. It's not so good, but it's like a basic thing to run. And you can also do Recon NG. It's like a whole framework on reconnaissance, but you also need to set up a lot of APIs if you want to use it to the full efficiency. So these are the tools that I would recommend to automate your process. And now we are finished with the video. And if you want me to make another video on something, or do a practical exploitation of, or a practical bug bounty hunting, want me to go and spend a few hours on the video, I can do that as well. But just comment down below what questions do you have, or if you like this video, you can also show your appreciation through the like button or through commenting. Anyways, my thing is just to teach you guys and girls as well. So that's the thing for the video, and take care of yourself.